This is Yacarius, also known as Kamal, representing Reality Speaks TV, the community workshop, the virtual workshop. And my co-host Sparkle Anthony is not with us tonight. This is my financial workshop that I'm presenting. I want to start a conversation about financial awareness. Today, Saturday, February 12th, 2022. Still haven't given you an exact time of when I'm going to post, but I'm going to strive to do this once a week. So today I want to do an introduction to a financial awareness workshop that I want to start. It's going to be like 6 or 7 parts, maybe once a week. Today is going to be my introduction to it, as well as covering budgeting a little bit. And we may have to go into budgeting partly next week. So this financial awareness is very important, in my opinion, right, for our community. When we look around, we see a lot of people struggling. I know for me, I didn't grow up with a father, and my mother didn't teach me anything about budgeting. I don't know if she knew the ABCs of it, but in any event, she didn't teach me, and I had to learn the hard way. And my budgeting techniques was really non-existent. When I got my paycheck, the first thing I would buy is some marijuana and make sure I have some clothes to party in and money in my pocket to party. And then if my bills got paid, so be it. However, I know I didn't have enough money for my bills. That's why I didn't want to look at no budget. Why do a budget if you know you don't have enough money to cover all the bills? That was my excuse. So I created my own budget. I'm doing my thing. I'm gonna take care of my needs first, and then the bills will come later if they get met. Someone's just gonna have to get paid next month. That was just my attitude. And we also want to talk about credit building versus credit using. We want to talk about the terms of appreciation versus depreciation when it comes to capital and owning valuable assets. We want to talk about renting versus owning. And today we want to talk about budgeting. I would like to have a possible Q&A, or just to wrap it up at the end. We'll see how it goes. And I may add another subject, and it depends. So let's look at budgeting today. What is budgeting? Budgeting is taking the money that you receive, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, and determining how much, what your expenses are. So you actually should write this down. When you're doing it, you get a piece of paper and you write down all the people that you owe. You put down your rent, your utilities, your phone, your car note if you have one, your insurance, all the things that you have to do every month that absorbs your money or that takes up your money. And the purpose of this is to see if you have enough money to cover your bills, right? So say, for example, if you have enough money to cover your bills, then you know how much you have left to spend, right? Now, in some cases, we also want to encourage savings when it comes to budgeting. That should be at the top of the list. The experts say 10% of your salary should be put away first before you even pay your bills. Put away 10% of whatever you're netting. So that should be part of the budgeting as well. But whatever is left after that, then you have to I don't know if gas is going to be a part of your transportation when you're budgeting, but lunch. So it depends on how whether you bring lunch, you buy lunch, you may have to put money aside for that. And anything else you may want to do, buy yourself some clothes or buy somebody a gift or take someone out to dinner. But at least you'll know how much money is available for you after all your bills is taken care of. So I suggest that we do this. Another rule of budgeting, which is very interesting, is that your monthly rent should be equal to 1 week's salary. Yes. So in other words, if you pay $1,000 a month for your rent, then you should be making $1,000 a week, right? But and today, as we, the way things are going today, it usually takes two people to make that happen. You find them, if there's a married couple, you find both partners are out working to make that end meet. But let's take another look at that. So, say for example, it takes you 3 weeks to come up with $1,000 for your rent out of a month, right? That leaves a 1 week salary to cover everything else, all of your other expenses and non-expenses. And that's not enough. That's not enough. You might, if it takes 2 weeks, then that means you have 2 weeks to play with. But if it takes 3 weeks, that's, ideally it should be 1 week. So, and I didn't know that. No one ever taught me that. So, if we take a look at it, if it's taking us 2 or 3 weeks to pay our rent, then we need to find a cheaper place, or we need to find a way to earn more money, because it's not economically sound to have to work 2 and 3 weeks to have to pay for your rent. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward. That's the first major lesson of budgeting, moving forward. So I talked about writing down and taking a look at it. So we also need to look at saving money for rainy days. That's part of budgeting. So I talked about savings. But what are we saving for? Are we saving to get a pair of sneakers? Are we saving to get an expensive handbag? Are we saving to get an expensive coat? Are we saving money for a rainy day? Saving money for a car is practical. Saving money for a house is practical. Saving money for a rainy day is practical. Saving money for a desire, well, it may be a good thing. It could be saving money for a vacation, which is well needed. But for a desire for a thing, once again, we're going to talk about appreciation versus depreciation. Some of those things may fall into that realm. If you pay $1,500 for a handbag, does it lose value or gain value? We have to look at that when we get to appreciation, depreciation. Just to have a name on a bag. When other bags can serve the same purpose and carry what it is that you need to carry, because at the end of the day, that's what the purpose of the bag is for. But in some of our minds, we feel we need designer names in order to floss, in order to look good, in order to display status. And it really doesn't link up with budgeting that good, because the word frugal should link up with budgeting. Looking for sale prices and looking to save money and be penny wise and looking for coupons. This is also part of budgeting. Coupons, yeah, that's a big thing. Taking bottles back, all of that stuff is part of budgeting. Anything that involves money should be looked at, and there should be a plan. There should be a smart plan involved in how you can save money and not waste it. That's what the budgeting is for. The other thing is family budgeting. And this is really a big issue in our neighborhood. I've never been in a black household that I lived in where all the family members knew how much everybody was making and how much everybody should contribute as a result of knowing that, right? It's secret. Like, I'm not telling you how much I'm making. Maybe if you tell your spouse. Other than that, you might not even tell you, but I'm telling you how much you make. It's none of your business. But in other households and other ethnic groups, they come together and they bring everything to the table. and they grow from that. They put everything in the pot. So, one thing that I realize is that there's strength in numbers. There's strength in numbers, and a lot of times we want to do it ourselves. So, for example, say you have 3 or 4 brothers or sisters. There's 5 of you, right? Mama needs something, right? One brother may want to take it on. One sister may want to take it upon themselves to go out and spend the $500 that it costs to get this for their mother, right? They'd rather do this than to ask their own brothers and sisters because they don't want to deal with the hassle that may come with it. But ideally, the best thing to do is to have more people. The more people that chip in, the less it's going to cost each individual. So if there's 5 people, instead of one putting up 500, let 5 people put up 100, and it's easy on everyone, and everyone is contributing. That's kind of budgeting there, but it's also kind of using numbers. And we can do that in a lot of situations. We have family gatherings, and this is for my forgotten ones, people inside. We together for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Your loved one inside need a $200 package. Why should one person spend this $200? Take 10. There's more than 10 people at the gathering. So you go around and collect $20 from each person. There's your $200. And it only costs each individual $20 instead of one person having to come up with $200. Strength in numbers. That's just one example of what that means. And it's easier in the pocket for everyone. And we all family, right? We should all be looking out for this loved one. $20, we blow that, and there may be 1 or 2 that really can't afford it. For the most part, people can come up with $20. So we need to even consider this family budgeting thing where we come together and try to help one another instead of being so divided in what we do with our money. If we pool our money, we pool our energies together, and just pull the willingness to say, like, if you need me, if you need me financially, I'm there for you. And when we get to the credit building versus the credit using, that's another thing. There's usually only one person in the family, if that may have credit. So if we want to get a car, if we want to rent a car, rent a hotel room, we have to, go to this one person because most of us don't have credit. We don't see the value in it. I'm going to get to that. But that should be in the family. Everybody should have good credit. Everybody, not just one person. And that helps with the budget. It helps people be a little more economically sound if they have good credit. Because now you can say, well, maybe I can go get me a car, a house. When if you don't have good credit, that's only a dream to us who don't have good credit. Because we say, I'll never be able to get it like that. I have to win lotto and have it in cash and go and pay for it all at one time. So I think I pretty much just covered the introduction for today. If I have some more thoughts on the budgeting, I'm look at it a little more, I'll come back. If not, we'll talk about credit building versus credit using in next week. Very important. Give you some examples. It works. It worked for me. I'll tell you some of the mistakes that I encountered so that you'll know about them and you can avoid them. I'll share the tips that were shared with me about how to use the card so your score can go up. And I'll give you some examples. So we'll do that next week. Other than that, everything is good. Talking about getting cold again here in Utica. Other than that, everything. My co-host has been a little under the weather, so bear with us with the Reality Speaks TV with that. So otherwise, people, stay safe. Thanks for tuning in. We ask that you like, that you comment, that you share, and even subscribe. Help us build this. You'll see some good things coming. We have plenty of topics. We have an interview actually coming up this week. We have an interview with director over our refugee center here. So we're going to be talking to her about the work here and the refugee population, and try to get, see things from their perspective. I want to ask some questions that will hopefully help us understand what they're going through and making their adjustment to the United States with the language barrier and the whole 9 yards. It has to be very difficult for them. So I look forward to that as well. And more upcoming interviews. So until the next time, real talk, real time with real people. Thanks again for tuning in. Peace.